Hey folks, welcome to your weekly video. So last week we looked at the podcast prompt and then we had a discussion on the outline and podcasts in general. We looked at the 8 types of podcasts. So if you haven't gotten the discussion in yet, get that in for points. If you haven't gotten the outline in, get that in. I just gave everyone feedback on that. Just get that in. So this week, we're just going to continue on. We're getting more into some of the the how to use Audacity or GarageBand or an audio program to record and to edit sound for your podcast. Okay? So I'm going to go over Audacity and GarageBand really quickly. You have 2 videos here. Think of it this way. Folks, if you have a Apple product, it comes built in with GarageBand, so use that. If you have a PC, use Audacity, right? Audacity is a great free program. Well, it's not amazing. It's sort of basic, but it'll get the job done, okay? I've been actually using it this quarter. So just think of it as watch the Audacity video, right? Or the Audacity Basics if you're on a PC. Watch the GarageBand if you're on a Mac. They're very similar. It's like a parallel universe. So even if you watch one, it's going to be very applicable to the other. They're just sort of like different colors and some of the buttons are different. Okay? So very similar. Okay. So then you have a little reading on podcast audience to help you refine your audience. Who are you informing? Who are you educating for this project? Then you have a bunch of optional readings, audio editing tips. You can submit your podcast idea to Seattle NPR, right? I just actually contacted them over the weekend, and they want to hear, right, what we're doing. So if you have a great idea or a project, email the email given here, and they might greenlight it and be like, yeah, we want to support this, or oh, we love this, right? Could you tweak this? Or yeah, this is in line with our interest, right? So just why not send it to them, see what they say. That's optional. And you also have an optional podcast walkthrough. This is called Podcast Bean. I had a couple students last quarter alert me to this. They used this. It sort of is like a walkthrough program. It just sort of holds your hands and walks you through getting music for the podcast, starting your introduction, right? It just sort of goes step by step. So if you need that, this might help. But I'm about to show you how you can also just go directly into Audacity and GarageBand and build your podcast right directly, right? So you have all these options. I don't want to overload you or overwhelm you. You do you. Okay, so you also have a discussion this week. I'll look at that really quickly. Do you have any questions about Audacity or GarageBand or sound or audio? I want to start thinking about interview questions and what makes a good interview question for question 2. Remember, you need an interview. This can be friends, family, coworkers, whoever. Just someone who can bring a new perspective or a different perspective onto your topic. And then I want to start seeing the sources that you're going to use. You have to use sources for this podcast. Real easy way of introducing your source, according to the University of Washington, researchers, Zinn and Howard, they note that, right, they argue that they have studied, right, crows in Seattle and have shown that crows can follow faces, right? So just like in a paper, you're going to introduce the source, the credibility or the authority of the source, right? According to University of Washington researchers, Howard and Zinn. Does that make sense? And then you can give the quote or you can give the summary of, well, what's the source saying? What's the information here? Okay, and I give you some source ideas that I use. New York Times, a book on modern dogs, and then a book on dog food, right? So one is a really fact-checked newspaper, one is a university published book, and one is a more popular book, right? So I sort of have a range of sources. And then we go into a little bit of a discussion on storytelling. And that is the discussion. So that is all, think of that as helping us brainstorm and generate ideas for the podcast. Okay, so let's go over some of like how do you start a podcast in Audacity or GarageBand. So step one, right? You got your outline, right? Or you're finishing your outline. Think of that as the writing behind your podcast, right? What's the beginning, what's the middle, and what's the end of your podcast? What's your sources, right? Where are you going to include your sources? And in video 2, I'm going to walk us through a couple short podcasts, and I'm going to look at beginning, middle, and end, how they use sources, how they use sound. These are all from our readings from last week's, examples of podcasts. So you'll see examples of that in video 2. But let's start with, we'll do Audacity first. So let me pull up Audacity here. Audacity, where did you go? Okay, there you are. Okay, so you see, this is what, right, Audacity, again, it's a free program. And I just want to go to the big red record button. And again, just like a paper, you want to introduce your topic, maybe some background or history, the major points, right? Hi, my name is Johnny Calavita, and this is my show on pet food and all things pet related. I'll be looking at the 2007 pet food recall, which inspired me and prompted me to start making my own dog food by hand. It's homemade. It is organic. It's healthy. I cook my dog's food. I make a batch once or twice a week. It's nutritious. It's living food. It's healthy food. It's not food from a bag, which has been sitting on a store shelf for up to 6 months to a year. So I'll go through some of those points, the 2007 pet food recall. I'll look at some recipes for how to make living dog and cat food. And then I'll just sort of look at different perspectives on, if you're vegan, can you have a vegan dog too? Or, if you're paleo, can your dog be paleo? Right? All these different perspectives on dog food. And I'll be bringing in veterinarians and veterinarian science to help us flesh this out. Okay. So folks, that's the beginning of my podcast, and I can sort of play that back a little bit by just hitting these back buttons and hit play. Hi, my name is Johnny Calavita, and this is my show on pet food and all things. So I've got some of the basics there. Now, let's say, right, we're only going to use about 5 or 6 buttons, right? So just ignore all of those buttons. Don't get overwhelmed. Let's say you want to, you're having an interview, or you stumble and you have a lot of and you want to cut that out, right? So I expect everyone to edit, right, out any sort of, blank empty space. Easy way on Audacity, you click this selection tool. It looks like an eye, and it'll come up with a little, I have to click on this first, right? And then I can highlight the portion I want removed, right? So I clicked on the edit tool, I highlighted the whole audio track I wanted, and then I can delete that, right? I can do edit, delete. And if you notice, it just cut out the ums, right? I had a lot of ums right there. Easy way to cut. Again, I just make sure I'm under this selection tool. I highlight, right, the portion I want cut out, and then I can just hit edit, cut. Easy way to cut. Great. So then, and I'll look at adding music a little bit later. Well, we'll do it now, but I'll tell you where I got this music, right? This music is from the YouTube free audio library, which we'll look at in video 2, or it's from the BBC free audio library, and I'll post all of these to Canvas. So now I've got my audio track laid, and I've got my music, right? I'm going to drag my music in, just like the video says, down into the lower box. There you go. So this is music. Here's my audio. I want to lower the sound on the music so it's not overwhelming me, right? That's the first negative positive bar, right? So now, if I go all the way back with the playhead, it should play my voice with the music now. Hi, yes. My name is Johnny Calavita, and this is my show on pet food and all things pet related. I'll be looking at the 2007 pet food recall, which inspired me and prompted me to start making my own dog food by hand. It's homemade. It is organic. Okay, folks, and as you can see, I've got my first 30 or 40 seconds introduction, and I'm underlaid with music, and I've already edited some of my vocal track, right? So honestly, those are the 3, 4, 5 buttons you're going to be using for this project, okay? And again, GarageBand is very similar. It's so similar. It opens like this. You hit empty project. And I gave a great video by Gary on this, so he's very clear, right? Turn off the metronome, turn off this thing, make it go to, right, we want the microphone, right, create. It's a little overwhelmed right now. It's a little overwhelmed. We might have to come back to this. Turn off the metronome, turn off 1, 2, 3, 4, take it to time, not beats. Sorry, I think I just have too much on my desktop, so everything is just sort of freezing. Yeah, okay, and I turn those off, I turn that off. And it's the same thing, right? I lay my audio tracks with the record button, and then I drag in my music at the bottom, right? So very similar, just slightly different colors, slightly different buttons, right? Okay, so folks, I will make video 2 in a second. Thank you.